Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Woo! Indigenous Peoples Day in the Berkshires for the 4th year in a row. Our 3rd year here on Main Street in Great Barrington. Our 2nd year at the Mehewi Performing Arts Center. Thank you. Thank you, Berkshire's community, for supporting this important work. Welcome to each and every one of you. Thank you for showing up tonight to support honoring Native America. My name is Lev Natan. I'm the founder and executive director of Alliance for a Viable Future. And I have a lot of thank yous to make right now. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to the Stockbridge Muncie Band of the Mohicans. The people of the waters that are never still, and the 20-person Mohican delegation who drove here from Wisconsin to be with us this weekend. They just got here a few hours ago. A 14-hour drive. Takes 2 days to do that. Thank you to your families and communities who are supporting you to be here. And many of you brought your families, brought your children. So thank you. Thank you for doing that. And thank you to your ancestors. And thank you for making this epic journey to return to your ancestral homelands. Thank you for that. And thank you to all the representatives of Native American tribal nations who are here with us tonight. Thank you to the Chickasaw, the Comanche, the Dene, the Inupiaq Athabascan, the Mescalero Apache, the Métis, the Mohegan, the Nipmuc, the Ohlone, the Ramapo Lenape, the Taino, the Tlingit Shimshian, the Tuscarora and Onondaga of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Zuni Pueblo. Thank you for flying on airplanes and driving long distances to be here with us this weekend. I pray that you, your families, and your communities receive tenfold for all the gifts that you are bringing to our Berkshires community. Thank you. And thank you to all the organizational leaders here in the Berkshires who are stepping up to support this work, for participating in the Indigenous Peacemaking Council this weekend. You know who you are. And for joining the first cohort of the Berkshire Climate Leadership Collaborative that begins in January. Thank you for that. And thank you to our sponsors and partners who make this all possible. First and foremost, the Life Comes From It Foundation, for your grants and bringing your incredible team of Indigenous peacemakers to facilitate learning here in our community. Thank you for doing that. And thank you to the Christopher Reynolds Foundation. And thank you to the Mehewi Performing Arts Center for being a sponsor this year and for generously hosting us for the 2nd year in a row. And thank you to the Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health for also hosting us for the 2nd year in a row. And thank you to everyone who said yes when I asked you to host guests who were traveling from out of state. Thank you for your hospitality, for opening up your homes. Thank you. And thank you to our beloved Berkshires, to the rolling hills, our Housatonic River, and the trees who are full of magnificent colors in this beautiful autumn season. And thank you to Senator Joe Comerford and House Rep Christine Barber, who proposed a bill to our Massachusetts legislature just a few days ago to officially recognize Indigenous Peoples Day here in the state of Massachusetts. And thank you to the elements of life, the wind, the water, the fire, the earth. Thank you to the guardians of the four directions and to all the wisdom teachings from all of our ancestors that have carried us forward through the generations and will continue to sustain us as we walk the path towards a viable future. Thank you. We have a powerful journey ahead of us tonight. Shawn Stevens and the drum and his relatives. R. Carlos Nakai, Cheryl Fairbanks are about to share their gifts with us. Let us bring our hearts and minds together so that this event tonight becomes a catalyst for moving forward into the coming year, building relationships, projects, initiatives. May this be a night where seeds of inspiration and action are planted and nourished. So on that note, before we go any further, I would like to ask for the lights to come up, the house lights, please. And let's take this precious moment to build community. We're here as a community. So please take a moment to look to your left and to your right. And we're going to take 2 minutes to connect with someone that you don't know, or maybe you just don't know them that well, the person that you don't know that well, and introduce yourself and share with them one question. Everyone listen, a question. What is in something that inspires you? What is something that inspires you about this work that we're doing tonight? Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. So thank you for taking that moment to connect with your community here. And before we move on, I'd like to take a moment of silence to say that we stand in solidarity with all of the missing and murdered Indigenous women and children, their families, and their communities. So let's take a moment of silence for that. Thank you for that moment of silence. And now I'd like to introduce you to my brother, Shawn Stevens. Shawn. Oh. Yeah, go. Thank you. Woo!
Oh, Nishik.
Shawn has been making the long trip, 14-hour drives or flying, from his home in Wisconsin to the Berkshires to share his teachings and the gifts from his Mohican culture for the last 20 years. He's been building relationships with folks here in our community with a vision that someday more of his people would also be able to return to their homelands here in the Berkshires. Well, that day has come, and the relationships continue to grow and deepen. I know I can speak on behalf of many, many people in our community who have been touched by Shawn's huge heart. We say thank you, Shawn, for your tireless, dedicated work.
Oh. Oh.
I am grateful that you call me your brother, and I'm grateful that you said yes when I asked you to join our board of directors, and I'm proud to call you my brother as well.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shawn Stevens, and he'll introduce his relatives too on the drum, and they'll be singing in a moment. So thank you.
Oh, welcome, Malkeo, Nyantanawese, Migizigabo, Nyote Mahikunu, Nanapoakaki. My name is Shawn Stevens, as you know. That's my United States given name. I'm also known as Standing Eagle. And as Lev explained, that I'm from the Stockbridge Munsee Band of Mohicans. And I just tell you that it's a overwhelmingly joy to be welcomed so much by so many good people, from friends, family, relatives, and even strangers here. Many people who have come here tonight and who have been coming in the last 20 years. My journey started long ago, just coming with a few people. I believe it started with a couple of these guys here on the drum here. It's my brother Chris on the far side there, Chris Stevens. We also have a tribal councilman, Jeremy Mohawk, right here, this man here. This is Jeremy's son, Jeremy Jr. Well, my nephew over there, Raiden Stevens. But every year I've been called out here, and there might have only been maybe 1 or 2 years that I actually missed coming out here, but I always felt that I was drawn by spirit to come here, and for what I wasn't sure, but I always come to share. And I've always been a person that loved to share those things that I've known, and to speak of culture and our history of the Mohican people. My people, our lands went from bottom of Lake Champlain all the way down to Manhattan Island, west into as far as Schoharie Creek, east into Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and we lived there for tens of thousands of years until meeting Henry Hudson in 1609. Well, unfortunately, I don't have enough time to tell you the whole story tonight, but you can Google it if you want. But to come here, I really feel that I've been led by prophecy and things said by our elders that one day that we're going to have to share our ways because the earth is going to become sick, and people are going to lean more on the indigenous peoples and their mindsets of being connected with Mother Earth. And the mindset that we're all connected, not only just as a people, as human beings, but as animals, as plants, everything on this earth, that can even scientifically be proven to spring from the same genetic tree of life, and so what we do to the earth, we do to ourselves, and we leave that for the next 7 generations and beyond. All of our descendants they inherit what we leave behind. And for the last few hundred years in the industrial era, much of pollution, poisoning the skies, the air, the lands, the water. And it's such a sad thing that to come home to our homelands here and we can't eat the fish out of the water. We can't even really go swimming in the water because of all the poison that's happened. And people are more becoming awoken now and understanding that we are all connected. We are a part of this earth, and we're poisoning ourselves and we're poisoning our future. And that we need to come together. And the prophecies that said that we are supposed to share our ways. Even though we've had so much horrible cultural trauma inflicted on us, in that ways that we had to come to heal with ourselves, and we're healing every day. That intergenerational trauma, we're still affected by it to this very day. And we come to share our stories, of how we've survived with one another, leaning on one another, and how we have to overcome this historic trauma and share those stories because these stories are the same as a lot of the people who come from Europe, and their indigenous ancestry, their ways that were taken, their language taken, their spirituality taken, and forced under one way to forget that we are connected to this earth, and that we all have to work together. And not one people can fix this problem. We all have to do it together. We have a word in our language, it's Guyana, and it means all of us, not just us, but yous as well. And we all have to come together. And that talks about putting our hearts and minds together. We're here. We're here to share these stories and of healing and how we can help heal the earth. The earth can get better, but we need to stop. We need to stop with the pollution. We need to stop with the poisoning of the waters and the air because our descendants depend on that for us. Okay. I could sit here and talk all night for real. I'm telling you, my family would tell you, and good thing I can't see anybody out there because somebody would be like, okay, come on, wrap it up. Well, but this weekend, my brother Lev, and I met him, and just the huge heart, we have a word, the Ojibwe people have a word, Ogichida, that they use for warrior, but the word war is really not in that word. It's the one with a big heart. It's even warriors. Warriors, it's not about going out and what you can kill or destroy. It's that what you're willing to sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice for your loved ones and for your family and for your people. And he's got that huge heart, and he's reached out, to our people. And he's got an indigenous people, comes from indigenous. We all do. And what he's done, and bringing all of us, all of the indigenous people from across North and South America here, inviting us all to here, to put our minds together, and welcome, all of our brothers and sisters who are non-native as well, and put our heads together and see what we can do and our teachings and what we need to do to save save the world, to save the waters, to save the earth, the land, and make a better place. Um, and he's worked tirelessly at it, very selflessly at it, and just a wonderful, wonderful guy. And I have no problem calling him my brother. He's a few years younger than me, my younger brother. So, but I'm very grateful for him, and because it seems like everything I came out here for, and sharing these things and telling people, because so much things have happened, and for a lot of us who are a little older, back in reading and going to high school and stuff, and our other schools, that we didn't learn much about Native American history and culture. You might have had a short chapter, maybe learn maybe a little bit about the Cherokee Trail of Tears, maybe a little bit something like that, but that was it. But to realize that there are so many nations, and I always like to let people know that we as Native people, even though we're natives, indigenous people, we all come from many different cultures. There's many cultures within this nation, over 500 nations before Christopher Columbus came, of different cultures, different ways, different languages and such. And so, it's hard when somebody asks me and say, well, what do Native Americans think about this, that, or whatever? And I said, well, you're going to have to ask every single one of them because, we're different people. We're diverse, and a lot of people don't know that. They kind of think we all speak the same language. We all think the same way, have the same ceremonies and such, but we don't. And I'm really elated to see that a lot of the curriculum in the Berkshires now are including my people's history, and people say we want to know the truth, and we want to know the history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I always tell people when I share these things with you, I don't do it to make anybody feel bad or responsible or anything. It's to bring the truth out. And if we know the truth, then we run the risk much less of repeating that again in the future. Of having compassion for one another. We're all here. This is all our Mother Earth. If we don't all get together, Guyana, all of us, it's not going to work. So we have to come together in that sacred medicine wheel of all people, of all likes and all colors. I promise I wouldn't talk too long up here, but we're going to do a song here. real quick, and it's to honor my ancestors, people of this land. There's still a lot of blood and tears left in this land, and to honor that spirit that brings us all together, that we can all come together as family again, and help heal ourselves, and to help heal the earth, and make a better place for all of our descendants, for mankind. So, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, yeah.
Thank you for bringing the drum. Thank you. Now it's my great honor, privilege, and pleasure to introduce you to R. Carlos Nakai, the world's premier performer of the Native American flute. R. Carlos is world renowned. His career spans 40 years and 3 continents. He has released more than 50 albums and sold more than 4.3 million albums, earned 2 gold records. His in 2014 Canyon Trilogy, his solo album, reached platinum, over 1 million units sold. The first ever for a Native American artist performing traditional solo flute music. For those of you who are not familiar with his work, suffice to say, in my mind, he is a legend. His website reads, Nakai's career has been shaped by a desire to communicate a sense of Native American culture and society that transcends the common stereotypes presented in mass media. Please welcome R. Carlos Nakai.
Now, the instruments that I'm performing on are those given to the Haudenosaunee. They are part of the largest confederacy of people in the Northeast in this region. By flute pipe makers from Europe. The ones that weren't quite in tune were set aside in a pile, given to the indigenous people. Burned some finger holes in this thing, cut the languid off, put a stone or something to aim the flow there against this edge. See what you can do with them. You can have this whole pile. The Haudenosaunee were smart. As most people who've learned to live off the land survive successfully by living off the land. We were up looking at the leaves changing. My best friend and I, she says, how can I tell the difference between the ones that make sugar, maple, and the others that don't make sugar? Look at the bark. Even with modern people who work with the plants of North America, it's always the outer part that counts a little bit. But it's inside that's quite important. I said in the old days, they used the sugar to kind of sweeten things, but it was also useful as a medicine. The other one they made boats with. Let's go take a look at this old one drying up, and I'll show you. Being very thin, about 3/16 of an inch thin, I said, try to break it. It won't break. And they glued it together with some of that maple sugar, but also with the tars off the evergreens growing around here, and they boiled it. And boiled it till it made an adhesive. And then the adhesive was laced together with very fine lacing to keep it all in one piece. And when they moved over to the Great Lakes, they found wild grasses growing in the waters, I said, and they would bend that grass over and knock the seeds into the boat. They call it wild rice today, but the wild rice they sell in grocery shops is actually from China, and it's black rice. The wild rice that we eat as indigenous people is about 1.5 to 3 inches long. And you cook that up in many ways. And it's a very good medicine as well as a food. So they did the same thing with these instruments. Let's go make a recipe book. So they traded far and wide with flutes. They got things they needed from other tribes. The other tribes took those flutes. And some of them were sculptors and artists. Working in the fine arts, of course, is a very old activity. When the Neanderthals were inventing how to cook food on a fire, barbecue, and how to take that wild grass and make mead and beer, they invented what we do as a matter of course now here in North America, Central America, South America, and even in Antarctica. Beer and barbecue. Very inventive, these indigenous tribes, And of course, different tribes say, we don't do that, but we have this animal that looks like a giant goat, a bison, which it is, a giant goat, and we hunt it, and it can feed a whole community. It's so large. Oh, yeah, we have one of those. The moose. Moose meat is very good, soft, tender. Oh, and the fat's even better. Oh, well, the bison, yeah, we don't eat the fat, but the meat we learn to dry and then pound it up and mix it with these wild berries that we eat. But we also have learned to make our own beer with wild berries. We'll share that with you. So they began trading recipes. And they said, oh, thank you very much. Here, we want to give you one of these. What is it? Well, it makes weird noises, And we would like to give it to you as a gift, and thank you very much for showing us some of your recipes for survival. So that's how this instrument became part of the material culture of the social world of the indigenous tribes here in the Americas. It's not sacred. Although in the modern age, when we began moving around with the rainbow flag, remember in the 60s, we had a rainbow flag. We were going to move to an island somewhere. And it would be only for our kind. Peace. This is actually an old Assyrian symbol. It means I still have 2 fingers and I can still pull the bow. So that's where that came from. So I guess that's where peace comes from, Don't make me pull my bow on you, And the other one, of course, only 1 finger left. That meant I can't shoot you with my bow, but I sure can learn to throw a stick using this finger and make an atlatl, or what they call snow snakes up here. And it'll go right through you, So we had a lot of fun, too, trading signs, It's fun to be a member of an indigenous community of various kinds. Whom are you? What did your tribes do? Many were thrown away to this land by overseers. Say, go away, you're too different. Just like the hippies of the 60s. Peace, man. Far out. But then the people of South America showed us cannabis, so now we don't have to destroy our livers and our stomachs and our gastric insides by consuming alcohol. Just smoke a little. It's good for you. It helps you change your mind. And it is a medicine. We use it when we sing for days at the powwow drums. The older people said, no, you chew this, you smoke a little, it coats your throat. You could sing for days. And then the Woodlands tribes said, we have something that grows in the water like a giant centipede. And we use that instead. Sweet flag root. It's very hard to find now because everyone's starting to use it. I guess it's because when your throat dries out from smoking too much cannabis, get up, I can't talk too much anymore. Give me that flag root. Oh, wonderful now. So even lecturing at the university level, chew a little flag root. You can talk for hours when everyone goes to sleep. You leave the lecture hall quietly and you go have lunch with your buddies. I started with 3 songs. They all belong to the Comanche and the Kiowa, or what we should say, Shoshones, and the Quado, who live in Texas and northern Mexico. They talk about the weather, rainy nights in Taos. They talk about what this instrument does when one plays it in a way to cause one to dream. So we use it for dreaming. When powwows were big before COVID happened, I would play for elders in their camps and have all kinds of stew. Beef stew, bison stew, fish stews, all kinds. And I go, God, this flute's great. I'm not going to starve to death. I'm going to end with one that became popular during the peace period. Peace, bro. You go, what does that mean? And many people adopted it. But it's actually a song that I found out later when I used to teach it to young people. Learn this song, Ink Pataya na Oji. Ma, come here. Lechiakona. Lay with me on my robe. Oh, wait a minute. Don't teach children that song. Not until they're a little bit older, Kia Mayan. Inkpataya. Huh? So anyway, that's the traditional part, as they call it. In other words, this is what we used to do in the old days. Not very many younger natives do it today because, snagging is easy now. And only problem is then you snag and you end up with a souvenir. Then you've got to learn how to take care of it. Most younger people today haven't learned the old stories. The snagging song means, too, that you're going to spend your rest of your life with this friend of yours. And if you decide you're going that way and you're going to leave her somewhere, then you've done the wrong thing and you're no longer a part of our family. So we do that, even today. There are many rules of survival as human beings, and one of them is to learn to be together and to have a sense of responsibility for others at all times. There are no important people on the planet. We are all important because we are of a family of animals called human beings. But what we learn as we travel through time on this very bumpy road called life, we need to learn to share with others. So that way, when the elders say, and don't forget to have a good time, we can do that in all earnestness. So I'll let the show go on. I'm through talking. My business manager is probably out there somewhere going, Okay. So, flute wind song. See you later.
So our Carlos is going to come back after we hear from Cheryl Fairbanks. And Cheryl has become a very special person in my life in a relatively short period of time. I met her last year when she came out here for the same weekend, our Indigenous Peoples Day weekend, as a member of the team who joined us from the Life Comes From It Foundation. And she's been nothing but helpful, supportive, offering warmth and wisdom. And for someone with a resume and credentials that she has, which you can read about, she's incredibly down to earth and easy to talk to. So I invited her to join our AVF board of directors, and I'm very glad that I did that. And I'm very glad that she said yes. And I want to share that this past week, Cheryl was just in New York City accepting an award for the Soros Fellowship for New Americans for her work all around the country in Indigenous peacemaking, including the ancestral homelands of her people, the Tlingit Tsimshian tribe in Alaska and Canada. She works in the area of Indian law as an attorney and tribal courts of appeals justice, and much more that you can read about. I think what I learned most from Cheryl is how much she cares about her family and how much she enjoys being a grandmother. So thank you, Cheryl. You want to come up here?
Good evening. And thank you to our brothers, the musicians, and to all of our guests for spending time with us this evening. It is timely now that we are beginning to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day here in the Berkshires. We pause to honor the Stockbridge Munsee people who have made their journey back here to Massachusetts. We give thanks for your sacred journey, for your resilience, and for your sovereignty. Ganesh Chish. Tonight we bring a message of peace, peacemaking, and peacekeeping as we together continue this journey. We borrow from our indigenous folks, the Iroquois Confederacy, who established the Great Law of Peace many years ago. And we were able to join them in Canada to reaffirm that beautiful walk of peace between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe. And it was there that we heard the powerful words and the music of our ancestors. Those words and that music was reaffirmed. We are here listening to this beautiful music of our Indigenous brothers, Shawn and his group, and our Carlos, reaffirming that music has always been valued in our communities as a way of life. It can be a tool for emotional support. Why? Because it brings peace and healing through melody, through harmony and focus. Some call that mindfulness. It also can be an anchor to provide calmness, happiness, and peace. Listening is an important guideline for peacemaking. Studies have really shown that listening to certain kinds of music can boost motivational levels and help individuals stay focused on their goals, especially during times of difficulty and stress. In practicing peacemaking, we call that be gentle on the person, tough on the issue. Also, in peacemaking, we often have to put it in the shade when things get so confusing and so devastating, and we borrowed that from our Ho'oponopono, our Hawaiian brothers and sisters. Today, we strive for a more balanced and peaceful life and community harmony, and of course, safety. We can use music and our core values in a circle of peace to, as my brother here, Chief Justice Yazzie says, to talk it out, to make things right, to bring resolution to conflict. It can be an option for consideration. Music and peacemaking can be used as a tool for truth and reconciliation. Its universal language lends itself to healing, self-care, and most important, the collective community care and safety. Peacemaking in music has the potential to give us hope, to transcend cultural boundaries and barriers. It gives us the strength to enhance our relationships by repairing and restoring. This is essential for building peace. Also, in our own indigenous cultures, music is used not only to heal the individual, but to heal the entire community. The collective spiritual nature of music is healing for all. Our traditional songs and music carry the messages from the ancestors, which brings comfort, not only just during difficult times, but during the happy times also. No matter who you are or what your background might be, there is always a musical tradition that you can find, that you can use to find your own inner peace, to build the foundation for community peace. Ultimately, we can learn from each other, from each other's culture, through music and peacemaking. Together, it allows us to develop stronger relationships with people across all cultural backgrounds. Music can speak directly to the heart. The Apache people, Rainey's people here, have shared their bijaya. Say that, bijaya. Say it again, bijaya. Heal the heart and the rest will follow. And music was a unique form of medicine for us, a soothing salve to heal our mind, body, and spirit. As we move toward our Indigenous Peoples Day, we will be in circle, peace and prayer this weekend, and we invite you all to walk with us this Monday as part of our journey of peace. Music and peacemaking can also bring a spirituality to difficult situations, as we heard this evening, how beautiful that spirituality just resonated through this hall. And with that spirituality, we can have the fairness that everyone wants, the equality and the equity that is guaranteed to us, not only in our own tribal constitutions, but in the U.S. Constitution. So everyone's voice can be heard at the table, and everyone's voice can be understood. I borrow from Khalil Gibran, music is the language of the spirit. It opens the secret of life, bringing peace. So, as we bring music to the great law of peace, let us pause to remember what our relatives from the Ogallala have taught us. There can never be peace between nations until it is first known that true peace is within the soul of each of us. And what we learned in Canada from our Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee people is offering that gentle handshake of peace. And it was so beautiful the way the elders taught us to do that. And so tonight, let us come together and bring our best selves to the table, and let us offer each other that great, gentle handshake of peace. Ganesh Chish, thank you very much.
So we're going to have our Carlos come back and share some more of his flute in just a moment. And I want to invite everyone to think about those words that Cheryl just shared about music and peacemaking and spirituality and community. And we can use and be inspired by our Carlos, his music. He was saying that it's used for dreaming. So together right now we have an opportunity to dream together with his music right now about what we can create in the years to come. Thank you.
besides one who is attempting to retain the performance techniques of this instrument. I also have found ways as a musician, when I started way back in the dark ages, I wanted to be a composer, and I listened quite a bit to the European discipline composers and realized there's a language. The language is written on paper, just like the American language in all its diversity. And when one understands a little bit how these things work, instead of spending all my time at the piano learning all the scales, I found that all the scales are very orderly, including the modes. And all one has to understand is pitch distances. Every melody on the planet has determined pitch distance. Easy. And then I realized some people jump out of buildings because they didn't learn their instrument well enough. So, bingo, I'm a failure. No, you weren't. You were doing real well, but you didn't play your own music. The instrument works in all 7 of the minor scales with a missing third, major third. But no big problem. Don't bother with the missing third. Play around it. I once was a trumpet soloist. I tried out for all the major orchestras and passed a lot of them, but I got drafted and I thought, oh God, it's the end of my world. See, musicians have great power. In fact, I realize after time, all people who work in the arts, the fine arts, people who improvise and make things, and they've never been to art university or college, they just start doing things, have great power. Because they don't speak about politics in languages, they just do it, and people go, that impresses me. What are you trying to say? Let's see, if I start now, probably by supper time, we'll go out to dinner, and I'll still be going, and we'll go on and on. I have no way to explain what I do except that if you like it, it's yours. I do my music for all kinds of people. Where does it come from? Here. It goes here. Sometimes it doesn't go anywhere. But someone somewhere listens to it and says, that moved me. I work with people who are passing in their lives and getting that key and say, I'm leaving now, play. Bingo, they open the door and jump through that dimensional abyss that we have to go through. They leave smiling. It's wonderful. I have 2 friends who passed recently, as old as I am. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die too. Great, because I've been there already. And so I want to go and see what the other side is like. It's very warm. I know that. It's comforting. Oh. So I play music like that. I dream. We were born dreaming. How many people in here realize or still know the very first song they sang? People say, I'm not a musician. I don't sing. Don't lie. In other words, what are these ugly big old eyes looking at me, and what are all these lights, and why is it so cold? I came out of a warm space and my, what happened to me? So we sang about fright and fear and the unknown, you know. Know that song. It's important. You may sing it when you depart from here too, you know. So you've got to know those lyrics. Dream music. They just got rid of New Age and the Grammy thing, so I quit too. I said, because it's all do 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 do. And I go. In fact, my best friend the other day, we were listening in a restaurant near here. No, it actually was in Keene, New York. She said, "What is that?" I said, well, it's the new music. It's not hip hop. It's nothing. It's a drum machine going behind someone or a synthesizer pattern. And they're trying to do poetry and lyrics, but it's not working too well. So they'll get a Grammy for sure this year, because it's just inane. They don't do dream music anymore. I don't know. Thank you. Children do music as a matter of course, just anywhere, anytime. I'm doing a workshop this weekend in Texas near San Antonio, and I'm going to have a bunch of retired people coming there who said, I've never played music before. I said, oh, God, don't lie. But I want to learn this Indian flute. I said, it's not from India. I said, it's actually from a bunch of flute pipe makers from Poland who gave the Mohawks these throwaway whistles, and look what we've done with them, turned them to work of art. All kinds of them, different tribes, different minor keys, And then I realized, have you ever learned the piano? Oh, no, I could never play the piano. It's easy. 7 pitches, a few more in between, and that's all you have, 12 tones. Music is stupid. You learn all 12 tones, but you get a bank of 6 to 8 of them. And that's all it is. Octaves. Until some crazy comes along, like in the 60s, they said, never play the black keys because those are negative pitches. They come from the devil. What? Did you go to New York City or Boston? or Los Angeles, they play all the black keys there. It's called jazz, you know. Oh, okay. It's very easy to do. And then once in a while, somebody will write something for me, and I need to get out one of the other flutes. There was a chance that I wanted to take one, inventing flutes that were in pitch. We used to work in A440, but not anymore. The Europeans got their pitch range back. A338. And so Peter Cater and I work with that. He's had his piano retuned, so I had to get some flutes returned too. Dr. James DeMars over at Arizona State University in Tempe was convinced to try to write a piece for this instrument and symphony orchestra. And it's on paper in the language of the European discipline. So anybody can play this stuff. Even on the C flute. And this is the opening cadenza for Lake That Speaks, trembling of beings and things. And the orchestra comes in at that point in the key of C sharp minor, and we take off. And it's the second movement in this piece, and it's based on Moroccan time signatures and keys, and it's a wonderful piece for Native American flute. Another one was composed for a native person who's of these tribes here, the Stockbridge Munsees, and that composer wrote for the native flute too. So now there are two. And then I'll be doing in St. Louis, under the arch, a piece called Chaco, which was written by a composer in Illinois. Well, actually in Missouri. No, Illinois. He moves back and forth across the river. Yeah. Gary Gackstatter. And that one is very difficult. There are 10 movements. But it's wonderful because at the end, we don't know what happened to the Anasazi, but there have been found all kinds of pottery broken. I think when their world changed, they decided, get rid of this stuff. Let's go down there and be like those people. So they broke all the pottery and they have shards everywhere. And so at the end of this piece, I'll be playing and then I'll be chanting in the language of what we think the Utes were saying at that time. And then they'll be breaking pottery and glassware, on the stage. It's a wonderful piece. So there are new pieces being written for this instrument, but there are no indigenous musicians who are reading it. They say, I only play from the manner of the soul in the heart. I don't play like white men. I said, wait a minute. I've never seen anyone this color. No, you know what I mean. I said, no, I don't. I don't understand. In other words, you fear music. And you fear being able to change a little bit to read it and make it reach out a little more into the greater world. Oh, you act just like them. I said, no, I don't. I'm very traditional. I dance in the old way. I only wear quill work on elk skin. I don't wear feathers and beads like some do. And I know all the songs that I dance to. And I make my own clothing. And I eat moose meat. Oh my God, you're just showing off. I said, no, I'm not. I'm trying to encourage you. Change is good. Change is important. And for Native Americans, the same thing. For all of those Native Americans who believe they're still Europeans, if you were born here, this is what you are. You can never be a European, an Asian, from Africa, wherever. If you were born here in Great Barrington and Boston and somewhere in this continent, on this continent, this is your homeland. You can never go back to some place that doesn't exist, except in some of your genetic blood. So eat more octopus, because they carry 38 gene groups. And a lot of people believe in science. We believe that the octopus is actually the one who delivered all of the life on this planet to this little piece of dust going around that star. Because every tentacle has a grouping of 28 genes, which is us, and then 36, 42, 18, 12. In each one of those tentacles. But they are so good to chew on. So, as you meander through life, there are some things. Realize that nobody can give you respect. You have to have personal responsibility. Take care of yourself. Take care of those around you. Self-reliance, my other R. Learn to be yourself. Learn to have a good time. And out of that, you will get something that nobody can give you, although they say it to each other all the time. It's called self-respect. It cannot be given by others. You have to develop it within yourself. And what we say in my communities is, whatever road you happen to travel on, wherever you happen to be on the planet, may your life be one that's surrounded in beauty, harmony, and peace. And may you walk your own road with a cool body. In other words, you're at peace with yourself. And you know that I'm going to go down this road having a good time being responsible for myself in my life. So thank you very much for listening to me meander around and be crazy a little bit. And thanks. And thanks to those who invited me here. You know, it's more than two people. It came from somewhere, but the influence is there. You all carry a sacred message. You are the most important person in your world. Say that after me. I am the most important person in my world. See? Easy. Be cool. Far out, man.
Well, I don't know what to say after that. You guys want to come out? So, yeah, I'm speechless. My mind is in the dream. But as we're in this dream together here, I just want to invite everyone to think about this year to come, being in community and staying connected. We have a number of programs that you can connect with, and we have information out in the lobby and in your pamphlet about keeping these peacemaking conversations going forward. You can stay connected that way. And I wanted to invite at this time everyone who's going to be participating over the next couple of days in the Indigenous Peacemaking Council up at Kripalu to come up on the stage, and we're going to honor that work together with this drum, and we can move together and celebrate our community together. So you know who you are. You can make your way up here onto the stage here. Thank you.
Oh!
All right. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Well, this is the end of tonight, but it's the beginning of the rest of our lives. So I want to just invite us. Cheryl was talking about listening, and then that flute. It was helping me to listen, in a different way. That's what it helps me to do. So just want to invite us with this peacemaking theme, Kiana, all of us, this year, to be listening to each other, to ourselves, to take that breath, and we can move quietly and with joy from this moment forward, being in community together. So I invite you to stay connected and learn how to do that. We have an email list and others that are already connected. You can connect with them and just keep building together. And especially on Monday, if you can come out, we're going to start at noon right over at the park across the street and continue with this process. And we're going to, everyone up here, we're going to be in circle together in council all weekend, working and dreaming together about how to continue to move forward in a good way. So we're going to keep that energy moving on Monday, so we want you to be a part of it and invite your friends and family. And I think the weather is going to be cooperating. So we're really grateful, and thank you so much. Get home safe. Yeah. You can turn the